I've been alive for centuries, but I didn't really start living until I hit 1 million followers on TikTok. At first, I joined for fun, just something to kill time without injuring eternity. Immortality gets boring when you've seen every sunset and sunrise, every empire rise and fall, every war repeat itself. I'd forgotten what it's like to feel anything close to excitement. I craved attention, that pulse of validation. It's been decades since anyone looked at me with that kind of desire. And when you can't die, loneliness isn't something you escape. It's something that festers, rots you from the inside. So, yeah, I started with the usual TikTok trends: lip syncing, makeup tutorials, thirst traps. I didn't even have to try hard. Natural charisma helps. Being a vampire gives you this presence. Then, the comments started to flood in. Literally unreal. Queen energy. Immortal vibes for real. I couldn't help but laugh. If only they knew how close to the truth they were. I started hinting my true nature, dropping little breadcrumbs for the ones who wanted to pick them up. I'd joke about being undead tired, or how I hadn't aged a day in over 100 years. They thought I was just another quirky goth trying to play it into a vampire persona. And for a while, I was. It was fun, but the more likes I got, the more obsessive the comments became. I saw something in them I hadn't seen in years. Worship. Obsession. People wanted to believe I was real. They needed me to be more than a trend. So, I gave them what they wanted. It started small. A flash of fangs when I smiled, crimson smeared across my lips after a drink. At first, they thought it was makeup, but the eyes that lingered, the comments that said, "Bite me," the ones practically begging for it, kept coming. I'll admit, at first, it sounded amusing. Like playing with prey before the kill. But the hunger, it was always there, just beneath the surface. Watching them adore me, staring at their wide-eyed, desperate faces through the screen, I started to crave something more. Something warm. Something alive. The first time I fed off of a follower, it wasn't planned. I didn't wake up thinking I'd kill anyone that night. But his messages, the way he talked, so eager, so pathetic. He lived nearby, practically threw himself at me, calling me his queen, begging for just a moment of my time. How could I resist? I invited him over. "Let's make a TikTok together," I said. He was there in less than an hour. I could smell his blood from the moment I opened the door. The heat, the copper tang. I could sense the terror rolling off him in waves. That primal fear most people can't hide, no matter how much they think they're in control. The adrenaline coursing through him was intoxicating, like the best kind of perfume. I could sense the blood rushing everywhere, including his crotch, and it made me smirk. Terrified and horny. What a curious combination. He practically stumbled over himself to get closer to me, smiling like he'd won the fucking lottery. I let him sit with me while I set up the camera. We talked, laughed even. I could hear his pulse hammering under his skin, see the vein in his neck twitching. I dragged it out, made him think we were just going to record a stupid little video for TikTok. And maybe another for Pornhub. But when he leaned in, breathless, eyes closed, ready for whatever he thought was coming. I sank my teeth into his throat. The shock on his face was beautiful. Like he couldn't believe what was happening, even as the blood gushed hot and thick from his neck. His hands scrabbled at my arms, weakly at first, and then harder when the pain hit. But it was already too late. I had waited too long, starved myself too much. His blood flooded my mouth, hotter than anything I tasted in decades. Sweet and metallic, and when I felt his body start to go limp in my arms, I kept drinking. I didn't stop until he was cold. That first kill, it was like I woke up after years of feeling dead inside. For the first time in centuries, I felt alive. And the high was better than anything I'd felt in years. A rush so intense it was almost sexual. I edited the video, carefully cropping out the mess, and uploaded it. I didn't even flinch as I dragged his body into the bathtub, cleaned up the blood, and dumped his body in the river before dawn. They all thought it was fake, of course, some viral prank. The comments exploded. "Oh my god, the blood looks so real. You killed it. No, literally, LMAO." The likes came in by the thousands. Followers doubled, tripled. People begged to collab with me. They begged me to bite them. And that's when I realized how easy it would be. The next kill was smoother. I learned to control the feeding, enough to leave them with just a little breath left before I drained them fully. That time, I invited 2 fans at once, to spice things up a bit. I played with them before I fed, let them think they are about to become a part of some secret, immortal family. The girl, she begged me with tears in her eyes before I tore her throat out. Now, I have a system. I scroll through my followers, pick out the most obsessed, the most gullible, the ones who comment about how they'd die to meet me, how they'd give anything for a bite. I message them privately, arrange a meetup. Let's make a TikTok together. They always come, wide-eyed, skin-flushed, hoping for something they can't even articulate. Some want the bite, some want to become me. None of them expect the pain. Each one makes me stronger, sharper, more powerful. The high doesn't last as long anymore, so I have to kill more. And the more I kill, the more they love me. They can't get enough of the persona I've created, this mix of fantasy and horror that's so much darker than they think. But the truth is, they're the real content. Their blood, their bodies, they're the fuel that keeps me going. I just got another DM. Some girl, barely 18, begging me to notice her. "I'm your biggest fan," she says. I grin, my fangs glinting in the pale light of my phone screen. I can already taste her. I reply, "Let's make a TikTok together."